Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries are currently having a competition to see who can be the worst at their job, and all of us are losing. There is no winner in this competition because Kristi Noem is upending Homeland Security. RFK Jr. is causing the unnecessary death of thousands of kids with his misinformation and conspiracies, and Pete Hegseth, I can't even point to one scandal. There are so many, and there's a new one now with recent leaks out of the Pentagon leading to one of the most shocking Pete Hegseth freakouts that we have seen that is having some serious implications on our national security. We're going to get to that meltdown, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get to Pete Hegseth's latest freakout over some recent leaks, we have to start with the last time this happened, Signalgate Part 2, because it provides some interesting context.
The Signal app is what everyone uses. We're all finding that out now because of the Chinese have infected and sabotaged, gotten involved in almost every other communications apparatus over the last 4 years. So that's where you're communicating. You say it took place, but there was no classified material in it. Over the last few days, your senior advisor, Dan Caldwell, Darren Selnick, Colin Carroll, who is your chief of staff, deputy secretary of defense. The other one, Darren, is now former deputy chief of staff, were let go. Did you let them go?
Brian, it was a result of an investigation ongoing at the Pentagon where we identified there was sufficient evidence, potentially, again, there's an investigation ongoing that will have to complete itself, sufficient evidence to believe that they or others near them were party to leaking. And then I have a statutory responsibility, Brian, if I believe that's the case, to ultimately ensure they no longer have access to that and that the investigation commences. There are a lot of ways to communicate in this building. I do it every day. I was just doing it this morning. Official channels by which we communicate classified information. If you want to do it and do it the right way, you should. If we think you are leaking to the press, that's a very real problem. We take that very seriously at the Pentagon. I'm here to do one job. One job for the president and the American people.
So, of course, Pete Hegseth, learning from his boss, never took accountability. He never said, I'm sorry. He never said, yes, maybe after Signalgate Part 1, I should have stopped using Signal so much so we didn't have a Signalgate Part 2. But he never said that. It's just deny, deny, deny. What he focused on a lot, though, as we saw in that interview, were the leakers, the people talking about the dysfunction in the Pentagon. Those are the bad guys, the people reporting the truth. That is the real issue. It's not all the problems, it's not the dysfunction. It's not Pete Hegseth putting away, 4 GNTs by noon. It's the leakers. And one of those leakers spoke out against Pete Hegseth, as they should, and it's what's leading to this recent meltdown. So before we get into what Pete's doing, I want to check out the bad things that were happening with Pete behind the scenes.
Do you think he's okay? Do you think Pete is okay?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. It's like a tale of two Petes. And I'll be honest, I'm not the person to ask about what he was like before and all. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you what I observed in the 90 days that I was there.
Was there like a particular point at which his agitation stepped up?
Yeah, I think, roughly it was around the time of Signalgate, maybe before when some of these leaks started. There was a focus on the leaks. So don't get me wrong, like leaking is bad and there are leakers and we should try to catch them, especially when it comes to classified things. I'm mostly concerned about leaks that lead to like true OPSEC concerns where there are U.S. service members' lives at stake, and maybe less of the like policy stuff. But
yeah, I don't think it's great that our Secretary of Defense might have multiple personalities and his own loyal staffers, that was a former chief of staff at the Pentagon, are thinking that he is unfit to do the job. People who are Trump-Vance loyalists saying that Pete Hegseth, we remember this, shouldn't be our Secretary of Defense because he was an embarrassment to Donald Trump. That's what they were saying. These weren't anti-Trump people. These weren't anti-MAGA people. These were Pete Hegseth's buddies, and they were speaking out. And so what do you expect him to do? Take accountability? No. He's now attacking the press in a way that puts us all in danger, and I want to check that out right here. Defense Secretary Hegseth, bedeviled by leaks, orders more restrictions on press at Pentagon. Bedeviled by leaks to the media during his short tenure, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued a series of restrictions on the press late Friday that include banning reporters from entering wide swaths of the Pentagon without a government escort, areas where the press has had access in past administrations as it covers the activities of the world's most powerful military. Newly restricted areas include his office and those of his top aides, and all of the different locations across the Mammoth Building where the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and Space Force maintain press offices. The media will also be barred from offices of the Pentagon's senior military leadership, including the Joint Chiefs, without Hegseth's approval and an escort from his aides. The staff of the Joint Chiefs has traditionally maintained a good relationship with the press. Hegseth, the former Fox News Channel personality, issued his order via a posting on X late on Friday afternoon before a holiday weekend. He said it was necessary for national security. While the department remains committed to transparency, the department is equally obligated to protect classified intelligence information and sensitive information, the unauthorized disclosure of which could put the lives of U.S. service members in danger, wrote Hegseth. The Pentagon Press Association expressed skepticism that operational concerns were at play and linked the move to previous actions by Hegseth's office that impede journalists and their coverage. As I tweeted only a few short days ago, my brother in Christ, you were the one texting war plans. What do you mean you're worried about sharing classified information that might be obtained by the press? The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic would not share the text chain he was a part of directly because he didn't want to share classified information. That is how that scandal began, with him saying, Jeffrey Goldberg, I'm a part of this chat. I do not want to post receipts because that could be putting our national security in danger. Why? Because Pete Hegseth was texting war plans, and now he's blaming the press. He's blaming the leakers. What are you talking about? You are just making it more difficult to cover the incompetence within the Pentagon that is because of you. Why wouldn't you just focus on fixing the incompetence? No, instead, you are having a budget that is routinely failing audits, unable to be questioned. You are having a department in shambles, unable to be properly covered. That's what's happening. All this at the same time that Pete Hegseth is investing in the makeup room because his press hits are important, but not actual journalism. All the secrets got to stay behind closed doors, except for the fact that they don't. They don't with Pete Hegseth. The contradictions are so clear. It is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy what they think needs to be secretive. We know one thing certainly does, according to the Trump administration, the guest list of his crypto dinner, which Chris Hayes did some really great reporting that I want to check out. This clip right here.
In fact, in addition to being the top Trump coin investor, Son also went in with the Trump family on a separate investment last year. And all told, he has sunk at least $93 million into Trump crypto ventures, according to CNBC. And would you believe, this is really going to come as a shock, in February, right after Trump took office, wouldn't you know, the SEC asked a court to pause its lawsuit against Son. So it had filed a lawsuit in the previous administration, and then Son went into business in crypto with Trump, and then Trump got elected, and then a few weeks later, the SEC is like, we want to pause this lawsuit. Now, instead of quietly counting his blessings for appearing to have successfully wriggled out what could have been some legal trouble, Son tweeted that he was Trump's top meme coin donor. What's the emoji for a victory laugh? Now, we only know Son is at tonight's gala because he bragged about it. In fact, the identities of most of the other contest winners are largely private. They use pseudonyms to purchase their Trump meme coins. But, and this is really important, a majority of the attendees appear to be foreign nationals, according to Molly White, an independent crypto researcher who has written about the contest. Again, foreigners cannot legally donate to an actual U.S. campaign. In normal times, the Department of State is in charge of stopping and sanctioning foreigners who donate to American political campaigns. But as Secretary of State Marco Rubio made clear this week, we're not in normal times.
Do you have a list of those foreign individuals who will be meeting with the president?
I don't. I don't know anything about it. I didn't even know there was a dinner.
It is likely going to involve some very significant foreign interests. You have to be pretty wealthy in order to be able to get inside this dinner. Isn't that a relevant question for the Secretary of State?
Yeah, I'm not the social
Which foreign
secretary,
interests are
so-
going to be speaking to the president? I mean, it's kind of naive to believe that they aren't going to be in that room talking about national security matters.
Well, I don't think that that's the case at all, because I would be aware if it was the case.
Oh, well, that's a pretty good tautological reasoning. They won't be because I would be aware of it if that were the case, and I'm not aware of it, therefore they won't be. Just the President of the United States being a guest at a dinner where a bidding war helped decide who gets invited based on how much untraceable cash they forked over to Donald Trump's meme coin. A crypto scheme that, according to estimates, has enabled him to make hundreds of millions of dollars off of being president in just a few months. For Donald Trump, regaining the presidency was always fundamentally, I think, about two things. One, most crucially, avoiding jail for the many crimes that he was indicted for, and making as much money as he can. And we've known that for a long time. But the audacity and the scale of his profiteering can still be managed to be shocking.
This is the worst corruption scandal in the history of the presidency. I think far and away, a new report showed that Donald Trump's wealth, his entire net worth, 40% of it is now made up of the money he has made just since assuming the presidency on his 2 crypto coins. Think about that. Think about that. You know, MAGA always likes to talk about, Joe Biden or Barack Obama. Oh, they became millionaires. Bernie Sanders is a great example. They always talk about Bernie. Bernie's got the 2 houses. Oh, the socialist. He's got the 2 houses, though. Oh, what's that about, Bernie? Some corruption? It's like the man is in his 80s, and he's been getting a pretty high 6-figure salary his entire life, or most of it, from Congress and then the Senate. He's also sold multiple best-selling books. Now, if you don't like that, I'm unsure of how to respond. Like, people want to know what Bernie had to say. He wrote some books. I'm sure Bernie would want that income taxed at a higher level that he made on those books. I think that's all fine. That is in a different universe than actually extorting the presidency. Making money off of books or speaking tours or, being an executive producer on like a Netflix documentary like President Obama has been, that's just like, it's not even comparable. And it's not necessarily bad either. I don't know. I can't. This is too much for me. This is the worst thing. I cannot believe this is not the biggest story, but we're going to make sure it is on this show. And if you want to support that, I feel like I just had a meltdown there, but sometimes we need to. If you want to support that and these meltdowns, of course, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.